In the AEC industry, authority speaks a lot louder than advertising.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Donovan Digital Podcast, where we explore the intersection of technology, industry innovation, and real-world impact. Today's guest is Aaron Ayer, CEO and founder of Hunley, formerly the Hunley Group, where he has built a consultancy for the AEC industry offering expert deployment of Salesforce.com and AI-driven CRM solutions. Hunley's newest service, SpecSuccess AI, which integrates project databases like Dodge and Construct Connect directly into Salesforce.com to surface spec-qualified leads, highlight where your products are in design drawings, and automate substitute packages, all dramatically accelerating deal cycles. We'll look into Aaron's unique path from naval officer to industry engineer to AI innovator and unpack how process design, data discipline, and AI aren't just buzzwords, but real transformation for AEC clients. Aaron and I met through a mutual client where I got a chance to see firsthand the services that Aaron and his team offers with Salesforce.com in support and customization. I love what I saw, especially with the SpecSuccess program, which we're going to talk a little bit about, and thought Aaron would be a great guest for our audience. So with that, Aaron, thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking some time out. I know we're all crazy busy these days, but thanks again for being here.
Sean, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's a pleasure.
Great. So let's start. I didn't really know this about you, so I did a little research about your background. Naval submarine officer, industry engineer, and then ultimately founder of Hunley. How did this transformation kind of take place in your career from where you started to where you are now?
It's an interesting and peripatetic path, isn't it? So I definitely started out in a very technical world. Thought I wanted to be an engineer, build things, spent some time glowing in the dark as a nuclear engineer in the nuclear Navy. Came out of the Navy and started pursuing the business track. Always thought they really hated the idea of selling and marketing because I felt used car salesman. Post business school, I entered that world though and discovered that selling is really about helping people solve their problems. If you're a successful salesperson, in most cases, it's about almost being a consultant, and that really appealed to me, which brought me into this world. Into the world of Salesforce was a little accidental. I was working in the business of building products manufacturing. I worked for a couple of BPMs, one on the HVAC side that was later sold to Carrier Corporation, then on one in the building envelope space, primarily below grade waterproofing. In both of those instances, I was a user of Salesforce. Indeed, I built it and owned it for my businesses. And what I was finding was that the consultants that I hired to help me build it were really talented coders. If I could tell them what to build, they could do it. But they couldn't tell me what the platform ought to do for them in business. And I realized that that bridge between the consultative business problem solutioning and the technical aspect of the platform was an opportunity. So 15 years ago, I seized the opportunity with the growing rocket ship that has been Salesforce, now the third largest software company in the world, to jump onto that bandwagon. Back then it was me and the dog. Now there are 65 of us, and all we do is building products and the AEC world, the architect, engineer, general contractor, subcontractor industry.
Yeah, I mean, Salesforce.com is really something. I mean, I literally remember when it first kind of came out, and I'm a big believer in CRMs in general. And but one of the things I always felt with Salesforce and even working with clients is, I mean, there's a lot to unfold, right? And it's a very expansive program, and I think some people can get lost in it. And so when I kind of realized what you guys did, and of course, I just met you. I know you've been around a while. I'm like, wow, this is really pretty cool, and I could see so much value that you guys bring. No surprise when you talk about your growth because of that. And of course, all you got to do is watch Salesforce on the stock exchange. You can see that the company has just been phenomenal when it comes to growth. So one of the things that you've often said is that business process, not tools, is what makes or breaks Salesforce.com. And can you share an example of where a process saved or sank a CRM project?
I think one of the classic places where Salesforce goes to die, or any CRM goes to die, is when management views it as a reporting tool so they can see what their teams are doing. They expect their teams to put in all their pipeline, put in all their call reports, and they're measuring them based upon that, and it's Big Brother is watching. And the individual users who are going to drive the successful adoption and the value creation of Salesforce typically are not going to appreciate that much, and they don't get any value out of it. So when we say that a successful project in Salesforce is process automation, not technology implementation, what we mean is we're looking for the value-added processes that drive an organization and seeking to bring value to the individual users first. Management will then get valuable reporting out of it because they can see how folks are using the system, but users have to find a reason to want it. There's got to be value in getting to data by going into Salesforce or another CRM so they can see how to find insights, to guide them to the right accounts that need attention, to answer questions quickly for their clients, or it's productivity. Either this is the only place they can do something, or it is a place that saves them time with a lot of the process automation, which definitely leads us into SpecSuccess, because that's what SpecSuccess was built to do, to automate.
Well, it's so interesting you say that, because I think one of the things I've seen over my career with people that deal with not only Salesforce.com, but any CRM, is if it becomes a mandate, to your point, with management, and you know what their intent is just to generate reports and see what everyone's doing. And the pushback from the salespeople that I've seen and experienced is pretty dramatic. And if the sales folks aren't using it and don't believe it can really help them, it really becomes, I don't want to say a waste of money, but a waste of time and money, because they're just not using it and understanding how it can really create value for them as a salesperson or marketer, even from that standpoint.
Yes, indeed. So really, if we lead into talking about the world of commercially specified here, this is where we think about a tool enabling a business. One of my earliest clients is still, to this day, one of my best success stories in this, where a company with an insulation product had a heavy residential presence, but almost nothing in the commercial markets. They were dead last in specification market share. And their new chief sales officer wanted to drive heavily into commercial. They certainly committed the team to the grind that makes the great game of specification successful, but leveraged automation to make it practical so they could actually do these things at volume and efficiency. And that became the roots of SpecSuccess. And we turned that into a tool that then automated all of these processes. We think about all the great databases out there, whether it's Dodge, ConstructConnect, Industrial Info. Internationally, it might be in the UK, Glenigan or Barber ABI, many other databases across Europe, perhaps Building Connected coming out of the AutoCAD ecosystem there. Those are great data sources. What we chose to do was to then make that data more useful for the end users and efficient so they could drive into the market in a very deliberate way.
Let's talk about SpecSuccess, because I when I saw it for the first time, and when you kind of walk me through it in a little bit more detail, to me it just seems like a game changer, right? And I'm talking from experience, because I can remember, to date myself a little bit, in the late 80s, I was with L&W and selling drywall and steel studs and plaster and all that stuff. And we would get weekly Dodge reports in an envelope mailed to us that were the blue reports that you would open up. And the ones with all of the project info would be about a foot long. You'd open it up and you'd highlight the ones you want to call on. You'd call the architect or go to the Dodge office, right? So, that's going back, whatever, we're talking 35 plus years, to the point now where this is really incredible, particularly for people that really understand the value of understanding how to get involved with projects and get the data to be useful. So let's talk a little bit more, maybe behind the scenes a little bit to give people a
Mhm.
really good sense of what Spec Success really does. And this is fairly new, correct? This is something that's come out recently.
Well, SpecSuccess has been around as a product for us for about 10 years, growing steadily, and then we chose to really accelerate our growth into market. Mostly it was our existing clients that would add it. Now it's something that clients start with. Recently, we launched the AI piece of it. What we built was based on my own experience in-house when I was trying to drive new products in to achieve specified selling success in commercial products, or what are all the laborious paperwork pieces that I have to slog through to be successful at this? How can I automate those so they become a few clicks instead of opening a document and filling in a bunch of custom fields? Those include, like you said, acquiring the list of highly qualified projects, but making that initial triage, review, and qualification of projects to convert them to pipeline to pursue much more simple and process driven. That's the first piece. That's a relatively straightforward thing. Then we think about the paperwork automation. You got to identify, is it your spec or is it your competitor spec? If it is your competitor spec and you are not included as an alternate in the list, you probably really like an opportunity to try to sell product under that building. So how can we automate the arduous process of a substitution or alternate request? Next, once we do have the spec, it's ours to begin with, or we're in the addendum. How do we get this out to our channel efficiently? So we built processes to turn the forwarding of a project as a lead to the channel into just a couple of clicks. Then chasing that project through to fulfillment as a pipeline opportunity. And then we flip over to the education side, because that is it the chicken or the egg that wins in the great game of specification? Well, it's both. One is chasing the projects for revenue now. The other is engaging the specifying community to get into the spec to begin with. That is the engagement in education, traditionally pursued through the lunch and learn process, where you buy a box lunch and educate folks. Once again, a paperwork storm. We identified that typically a lunch and learn involves an hour of paperwork. You've got the sign-up sheet, which, if you're lucky, you can read the handwriting on there. Yeah, then you've got to transcribe it. You've got to create a certificate of attendance. You get it uploaded to the AIA. If you're using a CRM, you've got to get it loaded to your CRM. So we built all that in to begin with. So that's automating the data, allowing you to be more efficient with it, which led us up to the cusp of where we are now with beginning the emergence of AI.
Yeah, and I guess when I say new, that's the part I guess I kind of
Uh,
went to, is that AI aspect of it, and that's where I think things get really dynamic, right? And
yes.
I know we're living in this world now with AI, and you're always trying to figure out, well, how can I utilize AI in my industry or my business? And I think this is just a great example of how you guys have taken AI and really brought it together with the data, the CRM, and helping out the users.
It's been an interesting journey for sure, Sean. The advent of AI, first of all, with the generative aspects of ChatGPT and all of their cousins out there, um, has been a huge productivity boost for each of us on an individual basis, just as the search engine was a boost. But on a business process perspective, how do you turn AI into a valuable use case? And that's been the journey. And that's been a struggle to find things to automate on platform. SpecSuccess AI was perhaps one of the first places where we found a truly actionable, high value boost to productivity through AI. As the folks from NVIDIA like to say, AI is not going to replace your job, but somebody using AI is going to replace your job. AI will not replace 100% of the jobs out there. It will replace 50% of 100% of the jobs out there. So how do we provide that accelerator? So in this process of specification, there's still a lot of manual data mining. Great, you found a super project. You're interested in evaluating it. you still have to dive in and read the specs and read the plans. And then you have to qualify it, bring it in, set up all the data in your system, and then you're ready to go with those things like a substitution request or my spec. I'm going to send this to my trades. Well, that is a pretty ideal application for artificial intelligence. So once we find a project hit from a database, let's point the AI engine at it to consume the spec, interpret the spec and the plan to make sure it's not a false positive. We all know there's plenty of cases where a specifier didn't clean up the master spec and it never hit the plans. So even though you have a hit in the spec, it's not going on the building because it's not designed in. So we can pull all of that in, and now that manual effort is gone. We've got the automation to take care of the processes. Now we have AI to replace what is probably 50% of the effort of engaging and qualifying a project. So big productivity boost.
Yeah, and quite honestly, it's providing more time, and we'll use a sales representative as an example here, for them to be more interactive with the actual audience, with the architects or the contractors, right? So instead of doing all the research and trying to figure out who do I call and what, where are the project specs and where is it in the drawings, all that's now at their fingertips. Now they can make the calls, start talking, right?
Boy, you really hit on perhaps the most important lever that we want to pull with this tool. And the reason that the databases often struggle with success is that for a successful salesperson needs to focus on face time, not screen time. And that is indeed the intent of SpecSuccess, is to drive greater face time and less screen time.
So with this kind of being fairly new with the AI part of it, kind of the quality control end of it, or the process you went through to kind of the governance of this information, the reliability, was there a process there to say, okay, we're kind of working through this? Are you at the point now where it's out of beta and it's fully operational and no issues?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's emerging. We are coming out of beta for generally available in September. So this product this dog is ready to hunt. And we are in trials with a number of clients getting it tuned up for different product categories. We all know that different product categories have different approaches and can be dramatically different in terms of how they're interpreted, how they're specified, and how they are added to the plans.
Well, you and I talked a while back, and I asked you, is this going to be Salesforce.com only, or at some point will you be able to expand this out to other CRMs that customers or clients use? And I'll let you address that. Is this something down the road that can go beyond Salesforce?
So I will say that as a consulting firm, we are increasingly being driven to be an industry specialist consultant and who has a very solid practice in Salesforce and less so simply a Salesforce consultant. SpecSuccess AI is an enhancing tool that's actually built off platform. We built our own AI engine to handle that. It is an enhanced data feed that can be plugged into any CRM, whether it's HubSpot, Microsoft Dynamics. It's a very long list of the other usual suspects out there. Salesforce is the dominant platform, but plenty of those others. We find customers are on that, and we want to provide value to them. The full suite of SpecSuccess functionality is currently only in Salesforce. It's really the only platform that's been capable enough historically of embracing that level of automation, but we are certainly looking at other platforms potentially.
When you look at this, the business outcome, right? A client invests with you and your services, your team, to help them be more efficient with their Salesforce.com. You look at SpecSuccess AI. What can they realistically expect? I don't know, let's say a 6 to 12 month period of time in deploying the SpecSuccess, and what's the outcome for them when they look at making this investment?
So it's really going to be business specific, and we always want to start with analyzing what is the strategy of the particular company they were engaging with. It could be that the company is either brand new to the commercial market, never really had an entrant before, or it could be they're introducing a brand new product to market, in which case they've got to crack into the world of specifications. That lever to pull to get new products into market and get revenue now as opposed to 2 years from now, where a new spec finally hits the construction stage, is the game of substitutions. So if I'm looking at a company who has that as a primary objective, then the substitution piece is the highest value. I think in all cases, automating the education program, because most companies still have pretty active lunch and learn programs, or the reps do if they're third-party rep based. That's a big productivity game that helps everyone. If a company has a heavy specified market share out there, it's about finding those projects and making sure that they're competitive. Smaller players in the market don't steal their specs. So it's a game of holding the spec, getting it to channel briskly to make sure your channel knows about it, that they're quoting it from as many angles as possible, such that that project turns into a win for you. We do find that clients in general can get about a 20 to 25% acceptance rate from a substitution program. So if you have, let's say, a 25% specified share out there, you potentially could capture an additional 25% of that, 20% of that 75%, so another 15% of specified share to pursue and channel. That's a pretty big growth opportunity to add to a pipeline. It's a very measurable ROI-driven program, which is one of the reasons we've seen so much success with it, when so many of things in the world of CRM are more ephemeral and hard to manage, hard to measure.
Yeah, that's great information. And do you guys, just curious, do you help companies understand what percentage of projects they're getting spec'd in? Do you have that ability to pull that information out of either Dodge or Construct Connect, or is that available, or can you get that information?
It is. Dodge and Construct Connect both have very capable analytical platforms, SpecShare or Analysis. If you're in Construct Connect, those are not tools that we have anything to do with, but they're just something we're aware of, and we can mine those for clients in the same way they could, or they could use customer support from one of the databases to do so. But that's a pretty essential part. If you want to start in this program, you really need to know where you stand. Are you at 70% specified share? Are you at 10% specified share?
Right.
If you're 70%, you probably know it. If you're 10%, you very well might not, because you just might not have been looking.
Right. We talk about our target audience, we talk about the AEC industry in general, but you and I had this conversation because we kind of focus on the same segment, which is kind of the expansion of the AEC industry, right? The manufacturers, because they're the ones working with the architects, with the contractors, with the subcontractors. Is it fair to say with your services, you pretty much offer this to all divisions? I mean, anyone in this space, I'm assuming, is a potential client of yours.
It is. The building product manufacturers are the primary customers for SpecSuccess because they are the ones who drive specs. We do find that the distribution channel at sometimes is also interested in SpecSuccess because they've got to find a bunch of projects, get them qualified. The AI aspect can really help them. We have some very large distribution clients in building products that are very interested in this offering as well. The third-party manufacturers reps definitely can benefit from this because that's their business. On the subcontractor side, finding a project and quickly qualifying the products that were in it, or piping in invitations to bid, the ITBs, and folding them into that pipeline, are corollary use cases that definitely fit. We certainly see the subcontractor side as a big growth opportunity here with the advent of SpecSuccess AI, because it makes it much more applicable to that audience.
Yeah, I definitely see that. That's actually, in our space, we deal a lot with subcontractors, commercial glazing contractors.
Mm-hmm.
And absolutely, because they have some of the same needs when they're out there data mining, finding projects to bid. And so I could see that being a value to them as well. So a little bit beyond SpecSuccess, I think you guys offer other AI services. Is that correct? Can you talk a little bit about some of the other things you do when it comes to AI?
We do. We are looking at AI in probably four different buckets right now. One is individual productivity. So we are using AI heavily in our consulting services to make our teams more effective, more productive. So AI note takers, generative AI for creating requirements documents, et cetera. Things that make us faster for clients and therefore a better value. We can be more efficient. Next up is building these point-specific tools like SpecSuccess AI. Within the realm of the CRM itself, we see a couple of levers there. One is the agentic tools on the CRM platforms themselves. So Salesforce's Agentforce world, those are specific applications that we're building out for clients to leverage the capabilities of the tool itself. And then finally, for the cost of ownership lever within the CRM, there are some very interesting new AI-driven administrative agents. So you can buy a tool called Swantide, who we are partnered with now, who are automating the administration of Salesforce. So they reduce the cost of ownership of Salesforce by making their in-house admins much more productive. That 100% of the people, 50% more productive aspect. So those are the four categories that we see as kind of key and interesting from a general perspective. There are other tools that we're looking at building here after the project qualification and setup for SpecSuccess. The next brass ring here, certainly we see many other players working on this, but there are aspects we think will be applicable within the CRM, is world of takeoffs. That is a true brass ring because that's a very laborious piece. Tough nut to solve, but a very high value opportunity to tackle.
Yeah, that sounds like that could be very interesting. Anything else in the pipeline since we're talking AI and kind of as we look in the future that you foresee that might have some interest or opportunities?
So the specific use cases continue to emerge and evolve. One thing I think that we have embraced is the need to embrace AI and become fully facile in using it. The platforms are moving so quickly that new capabilities emerge on an almost daily or weekly basis. So the key there is just investing the time and energy in becoming comfortable and adept in using AI. And as the use cases emerge, then you have the innate skills to tackle those and solve them.
Yeah, well, Aaron, listen, this has been a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. Is there anything I didn't ask you think that our audience might find of value as far as what's going on in the industry or with your
Yeah.
team?
So much of the conversation has been around AI, which, while it's barely scratching the surface from penetration to the market, we know is going to change things in the next year to several years ahead of us. Really, our charter to clients would be get ready. One of the getting ready pieces, it's not particularly sexy in the world of databases, is the quality of the data itself. AI lives and breathes on data, and it must have good quality and complete data to be effective. So we are definitely preaching to clients, embrace data quality and hygiene programs, get the right tools in, get your data complete, get your data set complete, such that you are ready when the use cases do emerge, you can pounce on it and use it. Because if your data is not ready, that might be a really compelling opportunity, but you can't do anything with it.
So, Aaron, for anyone listening who might want to connect with you or your team or just learn more about Hunley and the services you provide, what's the best way to connect with you?
Any which way, all of us will pounce on any response. Come through our website at thehunleygroup.com. Reach out to me directly, Aaron at thehunleygroup.com. We'll route to the right person, get connected, get engaged, and get going to try to create value together.
That's awesome. I will put a shout out that I saw one of your short videos walking through SpecSuccess, which is great. So I would encourage anybody that really has interest in it to check out that video. I think it's right on your website, if I remember right. and it kind of gives you a quick overview of how that SpecSuccess works, which was a great, again, short tutorial just to give them a sense of what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Fantastic, Sean. Thank you for the opportunity. Grateful to be here, and let's go find problems to solve for clients together.
That sounds great. Aaron, thanks so much. And thanks for tuning in to the Donovan Digital Podcast, where we help you build authority, engage with your target audience, and grow your brand in the design and build environment. And we'll see you all next time.